My topic is the do's and don'ts of influencer marketing campaigns in detail explain, and let's go to the topic and let's go to the start. Influencer marketing campaigns can be highly effective in reaching and engaging with your target audience. However, to ensure the success of your campaigns, it's essential to follow some best practices and avoid common pitfalls. Here are some do's and don'ts to consider. Do's of influencer marketing campaigns. Do define clear campaign goals. Clearly define your objectives before starting an influencer marketing campaign. Determine whether you aim to increase brand awareness, drive website traffic, generate leads, or boost sales. Having clear goals will help you measure the success of your campaign accurately. To choose relevant influencers, select influencers whose audience aligns with your target market. Consider factors such as demographics, interests, values, and engagement levels. Working with influencers who are genuinely interested in your brand or product will increase the authenticity and effectiveness of your campaign. Do establish authentic relationships. Build authentic relationships with influencers based on trust and mutual respect. Treat them as partners rather than just marketing channels. Invest time in understanding their content, engaging with them, and providing clear guidelines for collaboration. To set clear expectations, clearly communicate your expectations to influencers regarding campaign deliverables, timelines, content guidelines, and disclosure requirements. Provide them with the necessary information about your brand, product/service, and key messaging to ensure they accurately represent your brand. To prioritize disclosure and transparency, ensure that influencers disclose their partnership with your brand transparently, adhering to the relevant advertising guidelines and regulations. This transparency helps maintain trust with their audience and ensures compliance with legal requirements. To encourage creativity and authenticity, allow influencers the creative freedom to develop content that resonates with their audience while staying true to your brand values. Influencers know their audience best, so provide them with guidelines while giving them room for their unique style and creativity. Do track and analyze metrics. Implement tracking mechanisms to monitor the performance of your influencer campaigns. Track key metrics such as reach, engagement, click-through rates, conversions, and return on investment, ROI. Analyzing these metrics will help you optimize future campaigns and determine the success of your influencer partnerships. Don'ts of influencer marketing campaigns. Don't choose influencers based solely on follower count. Follower count alone is not a reliable indicator of an influencer's effectiveness. Look beyond the numbers and consider factors like engagement rate, audience relevance, and the influencer's ability to drive actions and conversions. Don't ignore authenticity and relevance. Avoid partnering with influencers who lack authenticity or whose content does not align with your brand values. Ensure that the influencer's audience genuinely resonates with your target market to maximize the campaign's impact. Don't micromanage influencers. While it's important to provide clear guidelines, avoid excessive control or micromanagement. Influencers are content creators who know their audience best. Trust their expertise and allow them creative freedom to maintain their authenticity and engagement with their followers. Don't overlook due diligence. Conduct thorough research on influencers before partnering with them. Review their previous content, audience demographics, engagement history, and any past controversies or issues. Ensure that the influencer's reputation and values align with your brand image. Don't ignore legal compliance. Stay informed about the legal requirements and guidelines for influencer marketing in your jurisdiction. Ensure that influencers comply with disclosure rules and clearly disclose their partnership with your brand in their content. Don't rely solely on influencer metrics. While influencer metrics are important, don't solely rely on them to evaluate campaign success. Track your own metrics such as website traffic, conversions, and sales to measure the actual impact on your business. Don't neglect long-term relationships. Building long-term relationships with influencers can be highly beneficial. Don't view influencer collaborations as one-off transactions. Invest in nurturing relationships with influencers who consistently deliver results, as they can become valuable brand advocates over time. By following these do's and don'ts, you can maximize the effectiveness of your influencer marketing campaigns, establish meaningful connections with your target audience, and drive tangible results for your brand. Choose the right influencers for your brand or product. Set clear goals and objectives for your campaign. Prioritize authenticity and transparency. Collaborate with influencers to create engaging and creative content. Provide clear guidelines and expectations for the campaign. Monitor and measure the success of your campaign. Establish a long-term relationship with your influencers. Don't work with influencers with a history of controversial behavior or inappropriate content. Be overly controlling or restrictive with your influencers. Ignore the importance of disclosure and transparency. Neglect to clearly communicate the compensation and expectations of the campaign. Expect immediate or guaranteed results. Fail to track and analyze the metrics of your campaign. Use influencer marketing as your only marketing strategy. Influencer marketing campaigns can be highly effective in reaching and engaging target audiences. However, to ensure the success of your campaigns, it's important to follow certain do's and avoid common pitfalls. Here are some do's and don'ts of influencer marketing campaigns. Do's. Do define your goals. Clearly define your campaign objectives before starting. Whether it's to increase brand awareness, drive website traffic, or boost sales, having specific goals will help you measure success and align your campaign strategy accordingly. Do research and vet influencers. Thoroughly research potential influencers to ensure they align with your brand values, target audience, and campaign objectives. Look at their content quality, engagement rates, audience demographics, and past collaborations. Vetting influencers will help you find the right partners who can authentically represent your brand. To develop authentic relationships, build genuine relationships with influencers by engaging with their content, providing meaningful feedback, and establishing open communication. Treat influencers as valuable partners rather than just a means to promote your products or services. Authentic relationships lead to more effective collaborations and long-term partnerships. To set clear expectations, clearly communicate your expectations, campaign guidelines, and deliverables to influencers. Provide them with a detailed brief that outlines key messaging, creative direction, posting schedule, and any legal or disclosure requirements. Setting clear expectations will help influencers create content that aligns with your brand and campaign goals. To encourage creativity and authenticity, give influencers creative freedom to develop content that resonates with their audience while staying within your brand guidelines. Authentic and creative content tends to perform better and generate higher engagement. Provide inspiration and guidance, but avoid micromanaging the influencer's content creation process. Do track and measure results. Use tracking tools and metrics to measure the success of your influencer campaigns. Track key performance indicators, KPIs, such as reach, engagement, click-through rates, conversions, and ROI. Analyzing the results will provide insights into the effectiveness of your campaign and help you make data-driven decisions for future campaigns. Don'ts. Don't rely solely on follower count. While follower count is important, it shouldn't be the sole criteria for selecting influencers. Engagement rates, audience demographics, content quality, and alignment with your brand values are equally important factors to consider. Focus on finding influencers who can genuinely connect with and influence their audience. Don't overlook disclosure and compliance. Ensure that influencers comply with legal requirements and disclose their partnerships with your brand in a clear and transparent manner. Familiarize yourself with the relevant advertising and disclosure regulations in your target markets to avoid any legal issues or negative brand perception. Don't ignore micro-influencers. Don't limit your search to only macro-influencers or celebrities. Micro-influencers can offer highly engaged and niche audiences that may be more relevant to your brand. Consider collaborating with a mix of macro and micro-influencers to diversify your reach and increase authenticity. Don't neglect content ownership and rights. Clearly define ownership and rights to the influencer's content in your collaboration agreement. Determine if you'll have the right to repurpose or reuse the content beyond the campaign. Discuss any exclusivity periods or restrictions to avoid conflicts or misunderstandings later on. Don't ignore analytics and feedback. Analyze the performance of your influencer campaigns and gather feedback from influencers. Learn from the data and insights to refine your strategies for future campaigns. Additionally, seek feedback from influencers on their experience working with your brand to continually improve your influencer marketing approach. Don't forget to nurture relationships. Building strong relationships with influencers is an ongoing process. Stay connected, show appreciation for their work, and consider long-term collaborations. Nurture these relationships to cultivate brand advocates who can contribute to the sustained success efforts. When implementing influencer marketing campaigns, it's important to follow certain guidelines to ensure success and avoid potential pitfalls. Here are some do's and don'ts to consider. Do's of influencer marketing campaigns. Do establish clear objectives, clearly define your campaign goals and key performance indicators, KPIs, before approaching influencers. Whether it's increasing brand awareness, driving sales, or boosting engagement, having specific objectives will help guide your influencer selection and campaign execution. Do thorough research. Take the time to research and vet influencers thoroughly. Look beyond their follower count and analyze their engagement rates, audience demographics, content quality, and alignment with your brand values. Ensure that their audience matches your target market to maximize campaign effectiveness. Do build authentic relationships. Focus on building genuine relationships with influencers. Engage with their content, leave thoughtful comments, and share their posts. Establishing rapport and trust will make influencers more receptive to collaboration and increase the likelihood of successful partnerships. Do provide creative freedom. Allow influencers to express their creativity and maintain their personal style while promoting your brand. Trust their expertise in creating content that resonates with their audience. Collaborate with them to align your brand's messaging and objectives while leveraging their unique voice and creativity. To set clear expectations, clearly communicate your campaign expectations, deliverables, and timelines to influencers. Provide them with a comprehensive brief detailing key talking points, content guidelines, and any necessary disclosures. Clarity and transparency will help both parties align their efforts effectively. Do measure and analyze. Use tracking tools and analytics to monitor the performance of your influencer marketing campaigns. Measure key metrics such as reach, engagement, conversions, and return on investment, ROI. This data will enable you to evaluate the success of your campaigns and make informed decisions for future collaborations. Don'ts of influencer marketing campaigns. Don't rely solely on follower count. A large follower count doesn't always translate to an engaged audience or genuine influence. Avoid selecting influencers based solely on their follower numbers. Instead, focus on metrics like engagement rates, quality of content, and relevance to your target audience. Don't overlook disclosure requirements. Ensure that influencers comply with the disclosure guidelines set by relevant advertising authorities, such as the Federal Trade Commission, FTC, in the United States. Failure to disclose sponsored content properly can lead to legal issues and damage your brand's reputation. Don't be overly controlling. While it's essential to provide guidelines and expectations, avoid being overly controlling with influencers' creative process. Micromanaging can stifle their creativity and authenticity, resulting in less impactful content. Find the right balance between brand alignment and allowing influencers to express themselves. Don't ignore long-term relationships. Building long-term relationships with influencers can be beneficial for both parties. Avoid treating influencer collaborations as one-off transactions. Investing in long-term partnerships allows for deeper brand integration, increased trust, and continued exposure to the influencer's audience. Don't neglect FTC compliance education. Stay updated on FTC guidelines and educate yourself and your team about influencer marketing compliance. Understand the rules surrounding disclosures, sponsored content, and endorsements to ensure your campaigns are legally compliant. Don't forget to track ROI. While engagement metrics are valuable, don't lose sight of your campaign's ultimate goal. Monitor the return on your investment by tracking conversions, sales, website traffic, or any other relevant metrics tied to your campaign objectives. Influencer marketing campaigns can be highly effective when executed properly. To ensure the success of your campaigns, here are some do's and don'ts to keep in mind. Do's of influencer marketing campaigns. Do research and choose the right influencers. Take the time to research and identify influencers who align with your brand values, target audience, and campaign objectives. Consider their content, engagement rates, audience demographics, and authenticity before partnering with them. To set clear campaign objectives, clearly define your campaign goals, whether it's increasing brand awareness, driving sales, or promoting a specific product. Establish key performance indicators, KPIs, to measure the success of your campaign and align your influencer selection and content strategy accordingly. Do build authentic relationships, foster genuine relationships with influencers based on mutual trust and respect. Engage with them beyond the campaign by sharing their content, commenting, and supporting their initiatives. Authentic relationships can lead to long-term partnerships and increased brand loyalty. Do provide creative freedom. Give influencers creative freedom to develop content that resonates with their audience while aligning with your campaign goals. Influencers know their audience best and understand the type of content that will generate the most engagement and conversions. Do disclose sponsored content. Transparency is crucial in influencer marketing. Ensure that influencers clearly disclose sponsored content in compliance with advertising guidelines and regulations. Clear disclosure builds trust with the audience and avoids any potential legal issues. Do track and measure results. Use analytics and tracking tools to monitor the performance of your influencer marketing campaigns. Track key metrics such as reach, engagement, click-through rates, and conversions. Evaluate the success of the campaign against your predefined KPIs and make adjustments as necessary. Don'ts of influencer marketing campaigns. Don't rely solely on follower count. While follower count is a consideration, it shouldn't be the sole factor in choosing influencers. Look beyond numbers and assess factors like engagement rates, audience relevance, and alignment with your brand values. Micro-influencers with smaller but highly engaged audiences can often deliver better results. Don't micromanage influencers. Avoid excessive control over influencer content creation. Overly scripted or overly branded content may come across as inauthentic and turn off the influencer's audience. Instead, provide guidelines and trust the influencer's expertise to create content that resonates naturally. Don't neglect due diligence. Before partnering with influencers, conduct thorough due diligence. Check their past collaborations, audience demographics, reputation, and any potential controversies. Ensure their values and behavior align with your brand image to avoid any negative associations. Don't ignore disclosure and compliance. Compliance with advertising guidelines and regulations is essential to maintain transparency and trust. Familiarize yourself with the rules and regulations governing sponsored content in your target markets. Ensure that influencers follow the disclosure guidelines to avoid legal issues. Don't neglect contracts and agreements. Establish clear contracts or agreements with influencers to define the scope of the collaboration, deliverables, timelines, compensation, and rights to content usage. Contracts help protect both parties and provide a clear understanding of expectations and obligations. Don't overlook monitoring and engagement. Once the campaign is live, actively monitor influencer posts, comments, and audience engagement. Respond promptly to comments and engage with the influencer's audience to foster a sense of community and build brand trust. By following these do's and don'ts, you can maximize the effectiveness of your influencer marketing campaigns, establish strong brand partnerships, and drive. Thank you for watching the video and subscribe the channel.